It is Hump Night, Wednesday, November 12th, 2008, and this is Lundon Calling, the talk show you've been waiting for. My name is Ace Lundon. Welcome all you wild and wonderful weirdos out there in Podland. Thanks for tuning in. The pre- and post-show music you heard is provided by Sonic Eccles, ECCLES, and you can get more information about Sonic Eccles on the website. Now, I'm supposed to warn you in advance every show that in case you have virgin ears, yes, there are a few of those left, don't listen, please. Folks tell me that I have a potty mouth. Now, this is normal for me, and every once in a while I say words that are, naughty words. Also, I'm not thought of as being politically correct, so sometimes I say things that, you just may not want to listen to or something. Now, I told you my name was Ace Lundon. They also call me the Ace Man. Little kids call me Mr. Wrinkles. Damn little brats. And because I'm a part of a large universal family, I'm also called Uncle Ace and Grandpa Ace. Some folks call me Mr. Lundon or Professor. And then there are those special folks who refer to me as Ace Hole. So if you've got something you'd like to chat about tonight, listen. You can't call in, but you can email in, and the address is simply LundonCalling@gmail.com. However, it is Lundon, LUNDON .calling@gmail.com. Now, there are no taboo topics on this show, and I promise you that I won't take any offense, even if you tell me I'm full of shit. You know, I'm an old farm boy, and I can understand that object of the preposition. So, don't be afraid to email in. Let's get started. As Aristotle said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Did you catch that? It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. You don't have to have a university education for that one, you know. So anyway, let's see. I guess it's time for Dr. Ace. Yes. And I have an important health issue for you women listening in. Ladies, I say ladies, of course, this is an assumption on my part. Ladies, do you have feelings of inadequacy? Do you suffer from shyness? Do you sometimes wish you were more assertive? Now, if you have answered yes to any of these questions, Dr. Ace tells you now to ask your doctor or pharmacist about margaritas. Margaritas are safe, the safe, natural way to feel better and more confident about yourself and your actions. Margaritas can help ease you out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. Now, you will notice the benefits of margaritas almost immediately. And with a regimen of regular doses, you may overcome any obstacles that prevent you from living the life you want to live. Shyness and awkwardness will be a thing of the past, and you will discover many talents you never knew you had. So stop hiding and start living with margaritas. Margaritas, of course, may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use margaritas. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try it. There are side effects, though. Some of those side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, or incarceration. They also might include erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control or loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, attraction to the same sex, table dancing, headaches, dehydration, dry mouth, and a desire to sing karaoke. So there is a warning. The consumption of margaritas may make you think you are whispering when you are not. The consumption of margaritas may cause you to tell your friends over and over and over again and again that you love them. And warning, the consumption of margaritas may cause you to think you can sing. The consumption of margaritas may make you think you can actually logically converse with members of the opposite sex without spitting on them. Yes, folks, you have now heard the help of Dr. Ace. So call in your comments and questions, and let's start talking. I thought that the show would be starting in AE. Well, it is now November 2008 AE, but I also thought it would be BE. This is before the election and after the election. And of course now it is AE, after the election. So we're not going to talk about some of that stuff. I got tired of all of 2 years of politicking. Anyway, as a result, I'm going to now introduce you to my co-host immediately. His name is Lance Helms, and he is in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh my God, the ability of the internet, huh? Lance, are you there?
Was that a question for me? Yes, the ability of the internet.
My goodness, I don't know where he is.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, 1,892 miles.
He said he was going to take a potty break.
Can you not hear me?
But it must have been more than a potty break. Oh, my goodness sakes. Anyway, if he's not there at the moment, I'm not sure what to do outside of just say, we'll talk to him later. Now, because of the miserable economic times, I'm also going to give you a bit of a pepper-upper, I think, right now. What does one do when you don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out? My pepper-upper is this. Triumph and disaster are both imposters. Success and failure are both imposters. So, when you know those and accept those, then your bad times, you say you're going through them. Well, they're both imposters. So what do we really have? We have dreams. All of us poor folks have dreams, and dreams give us hope, and hope gives us energy, drive, and power. So never be afraid to dream, okay? Let's see. I guess they're working to get Lance connected somehow or other.
Can you hear me now?
Know what's going on, but I don't know much about anything when it comes to the internet and all of this technical stuff. So I'm hoping that when Lance gets his mic on or whatever, that he will just interrupt, okay?
I'm interrupting. Can you hear me?
Oh, Lancelot, if you can hear me, you just come right on in and interrupt me when you get your mic on or whatever, because I can't hear you at all, and I heard you before
that's not good.
Show started. Okay, okay. Anyway, talking about hope, giving us energy, drive, and power. Uh, hmm. I'm going
Can
to
you
wait
still?
till Lance gets on with that. But I'm going to go back to this thing now. Uh, I'm not much into the politics thing, but I think I'm going to tell you this. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or whatever, I kind of think you'll get a kick out of this. A little boy goes to his dad and asks, "What is politics, Dad?" And Dad says, "Well, son, let me try to explain it this way. I am the head of the family, so they call me the president. Your mother is the administrator of the money, so we call her the government. And we are here to take care of your needs, so we will call you the people. Now, our nanny, we will consider her the working class. And your baby brother, we'll call him the future. Now think about that and see if it makes sense to you, son." So the little boy goes off to bed thinking about what Dad has said. And later that night, he hears his baby brother crying, so he gets up to check on him, and he finds that the baby has severely soiled his diaper. So the little boy goes to his parents' room and finds his mother asleep. She was the government, the administrator of the money, and his mother is asleep. Not wanting to wake her, he goes to the nanny's room. Finding the door locked, he peeks in the keyhole and sees his father in bed with the nanny. He gives up and goes back to bed. The next morning, however, the little boy says to his father, "Dad, I think I really understand the concept of politics now." And the father says, "Very good, son. Tell me in your own words what you think politics is all about." And the little boy replies, "The president is screwing the working class while the government is sound asleep. The people are being ignored and the future is in deep shit." There's probably more truth to that than there is fiction, I tell you that much. And let me see if Lance is any place alive yet. I don't see him, and I don't know if he's there or not, but we're going to have to continue going on. You know, um, this economy that we're in, we look at the film industry, the entertainment industry, and I spent most of my life involved in it. We think that they don't really get hurt much, economically, because they're all so rich, everybody says. But the economy definitely hurts serious films. And there are many, many good films. The likely top contenders for the February 22nd Oscars will be out in, I think it's late November and December. Now, among those films that are coming out, there is one that I would like to tell you to please go and see. The film is called Milk. M-I-L-K. Like on the farm, milk. But it is talking about the life of Harvey Milk. Now, Harvey, many years ago, was up in San Francisco, and one of the assemblymen or some council members or something or other up there, I can't even remember, but he wrote a column for me at that time when I was managing editor of a publication. And he and another gentleman up there were assassinated by some idiot who had been eating too many Twinkies. And Harvey, in his life, the one thing that he always used to say, you gotta give 'em hope. You gotta give 'em hope, Ace. And I don't know what is more important. Nothing. Hope gives us energy, drive, and power. And this film, even though I haven't seen it yet, stars Sean Penn in the person of the gay rights pioneer Harvey Milk. So if you get a chance to go and see it, this is one of the likely top contenders for the Oscars. Others that are coming along that are also in that category when they aren't, they're serious films, and people in the times like we're in right now, we try to put off seeing serious films. We usually want, what do you call it, comedy or something like that. Well, we need to see some of these films. There is Revolutionary Road with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet coming out. It talks about a failing marriage. Aha! That's not very, uppity, is it? Then there's Frost Nixon, starring Frank Langella as President Richard Nixon after his fall from grace. And there's Doubt, starring Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman in a drama about a priest accused of abusing a boy. These should be in the top, category for Oscars. So don't be afraid to go and see them, even though we are in dire times, Oh, I tell you. Well, let me try something here. I'm going to try answering and seeing if I can get Lance on the horn.
Have to. Can you hear me? Ace, can you hear me?
Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
So far, I can't seem to get it. Well, isn't that interesting? Anyway, you've heard about the films. Take my advice. Also, another old acquaintance of mine who is the baby sister, I think she's like 9-10 years younger than Barbara Streisand. Streisand's baby sister, Rosalind Kind, Kind, is going to be appearing in Las Vegas at the Cannery. Actually, it's in North Las Vegas. This coming Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. And if you happen to be listening and living in the Vegas area, this is a voice you should hear. Yeah, Barbara Streisand has a phenomenal voice, but her sister Rosalind is absolutely a magnificent voice also. I met her many, many years ago when she was first starting out also, and she would sing at the Studio One or places like that in Los Angeles at that time. Let's see. She was asked recently why she decided to step up to her career again now after all of these years. Let's see. Hold on. Maybe. I'm trying to see. I can't hear Lance or Mike, so I'm hoping that this is still going out live. Anyway, Rosalind said why she was going to step up her career. I have a strong urge to make a difference in people's lives, even if it's just for an hour. I enjoy performing and affecting people in a good way. I always look for ways to make people smile and help them forget their problems for a while. I think the world needs a lot of that right now. We all do. So, Rosalind, break a leg in Vegas this weekend. You've got a marvelous voice that the Creator has given you, just like with your sister. So, I don't know. It's interesting as the years go by. You keep going on, just like I do. And, folks, if you have learned nothing else about being an activist, one thing I guess that you can say that you have learned is that one life lived with passion makes a difference. Now, you
Amen
might
to
think
that.
your life isn't counting or something. One life lived with passion makes a difference, whether we are rich or poor. An example of that might be Princess Di and Mother Teresa. One rich, one poor. So, you know that your life can count. And if there is salvation at the end of the day, it will be found in education, in the broad sense of the word. Education, formal and informal public education, is imperative if we desire future growth and progress. Knowledge of the past is imperative if we desire emotional stability in the present and in the future. Because without roots, individual roots and societal roots, we might easily be blown out about in the winds of progress. Yes, my friends, I said it on the last show, we are what we've been becoming, and we need to remember where we have been so we can become what we want to be tomorrow. Let me check back and see if there's any possibility of Lance getting on the line.
Oh, I've been on the line.
I don't see any announcement, so we shall go on. You know, I grew up on a farm. Well, I have a little farm sense of humor, and I love poetry as well. And so I thought I'd share a little bit of poetry with you at this time. It was my first time ever, and I'll never forget. I'd do it again without a single regret. The sky was dark, the moon was high. We were all alone, just she and I. Her hair was soft, her eyes were blue. I knew just what she wanted to do. Her skin so soft, her legs so fine, I ran my fingers down her spine. I didn't know how, but I tried my best, and I started by placing my hands on her breast. I remember my fear, my fast-beating heart, but slowly she spread her legs apart,
Oh,
and when I
Jesus.
did it, I felt no shame. And all at once the white stuff came. At last it's
Ace
finished.
London.
It's all over now. My very first time ever at milking a cow. You like a little poetry there? Gotcha, didn't I? Uh-huh. I just heard them say that, Ace, we need to hang you up. I don't know what that means, but they're going to hang me up, so I guess I'm just going to stop talking at the moment. I need to hang up. Okay. Lance, are you there?
I am.
Oh, wonderful.
Let's fire up the fan mail. Let's see who's on. If you're on right now, send us an email at lundon.calling@gmail.com. That's london.calling, LUNDON.calling @gmail.com. And let's just see who's on with us tonight. I am pleased to report that we have received our first piece of fan mail. It came 2 days ago from Frank, a loyal listener who is probably a friend of yours, Ace. And I get the sense from his email that he's probably in your neck of the woods.
If you're talking about are you talking about Dr. Bombay? He's up in Reno.
Dr. Bombay. He's in Reno.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote very admiringly of our podcast. He's apparently a fan of Southern accents.
Well, what can I say? Dr. Bombay is something else, let me tell you. And if we get any emails from these poor people listening today, we're now into the first half hour of the show. Then you'll have to let me know what they're saying and say, how they're bawling us out.
Balling this out. Well, so far we have a 100% kill rate on the fan mail.
It's so crazy. Here I thought we were through with all of the glitches, but naturally, Murphy's Law never leaves a person in life, does it? And so any of you listening out there, you probably have a familiarity with Mr. Murphy also, I'm sure. We were talking, Lance. Could you hear anything, by the way?
I actually heard everything you were saying.
You did, and I couldn't hear you.
Well, more or less, because we were sort of, Mike and I were sort of jumping in and out, trying a couple of different things to get me back connected with you, basically. It's kind of interesting. There were times when you couldn't hear us. It seemed like we
I couldn't hear you at all. Mm-mm. Anyway, let us continue. We were talking a little bit
because the show must go on.
Yes, the show must go on. About that we need to remember we are what we've been becoming. Now, I'm going to be probably aiming this at gays listening, but believe me, it works for everyone. And I'm saying this as an old pioneer in the gay rights movement. I'm saying this to the gay community, that if we don't know as a community where we've been coming from, how in the hell are we going to know where we are headed?
Amen.
I don't know the solidarity we had 40 years ago. I do know, I should say, that solidarity that we had 40 years ago does not exist today. The gay community is a totally fractured group.
But say more about that. What's led you to that tonight?
What led me to what? I can hardly hear you.
What's led you to that conclusion tonight?
That we are a fractured group?
Well,
all
and
you
this
have to do is look. I laugh when I hear people say there's a gay agenda. Really? I wonder who's doing it. Certainly not the gay community that I know.
Well, as a morning talk show host, at least used to say, and maybe even still says, there's a daily fax that comes from the Barbra Streisand compound. Now, of course, this is just a left-wing talk show. So they're talking about the broader sort of liberal agenda, but I think it's a good corollary because who better to get the gay agenda from than Babs?
The liberal agenda. Well, listen, I'm a Republican, and I have a lot of Republican friends who have a liberal side to them from the social aspects.
Oh, absolutely.
And, there's no agenda to it. They're just plain, normal, common, sane people. And there's no agenda. And the gays don't have an agenda these days either. We did 40 years ago, and that was to become recognized as a community. Well, we are recognized as a community today, but as far as an agenda, no, we're just trying to keeping on doing the few things that will help make us a part of the universal community of human beings. And we have to remember as a gay community that, our present community today didn't just poof into existence by some magician's wand. It was created by actions and decisions that were made in the past. And those things have given our community roots. And so if you are a gay person out there today, or a lesbian, a bisexual, or even a transgender person, start looking back and seeing the roots that you do have that brought you to where you are today. And if you are a straight person, where did you come from in your straight life? Now, it's okay to say, I don't know, because those three little words are the beginning of knowledge. Let's face it, we still haven't arrived at that point in our education system where Gay history is an elective. As the old Chinese proverb says, teachers open the door, you enter by yourself. No one can force you or me to become knowledgeable. We have to seek that. Now, we won't need a formal education probably if we choose to be a bus person or dishwasher for the rest of our life. But if we want more, then we've got the formal education to seek. Our gay community is also no different from the straight community when it comes to caring for our own. As a senior citizen, I can now look back 40 years to see that our pioneering efforts then were not in vain. I find great pride in our younger citizens today, for the torch hasn't gone out and the fight for our freedoms and justice continues. We're learning and growing. There are even senior citizens retirement centers for gays today. Maybe not enough, but this was an impossible thought 40 years ago. We must never forget there is a price to pay for freedom also, and we must never forget there are old farts like myself still living who paid some crazy costs so all of us can live the way we do today. The wheels of justice roll slowly, but surely, but there is a price. Today, you don't have to be afraid, wondering if this will be the night that the bar will be raided when you're there. Yes, the police would send in a hottie to scope out the bar and see if there was any hanky-panky going on. And, of course, there usually always was some touching or hugging. And when the lights would go on and everyone would be told to line up, we'd have to show our IDs and be humiliated. And then this plant, the police plant, the hottie, would point out who would be arrested. And there were plenty of attorney costs to pay back then, still are. Rich straights took advantage of the early gay rights efforts, too. Hold on a second, I've got to look and see what's going on.
Well, and I want to jump in real quick and say that I was listening to the radio today. There's just
Hold on, I can't hear you. I'm going to have to turn this up just a little bit.
So much has happened in the last week, especially with Proposition 8. And I was listening to a radio show today where they were talking about how pre-Stonewall, if you went to a bar, say in New York City, and ordered a drink, and it was made plain to the bartender that you were gay, it was legal for them to refuse to serve you. In fact, it was probably illegal for them to serve you, period.
You are fading in and out on me, Lance.
Well, because I'm sitting here messing with my microphone. How's this?
Oh, okay. Now there I can hear you.
This is probably much better. The problem with this setting is that you're probably hearing more of me than you ever thought you wanted to hear. Am I right? No.
So
how's this?
Go ahead.
Is this
Follow up with what you were saying.
Well, it's interesting. We are now 8 days into the post historic election world, and it seems as though it's taken the LGBT community. Well, let's just say the gay community, because this gay marriage thing it's a gay thing. It's taken us a week to all of a sudden be marching in the streets. I mean, there are protests scheduled to happen all over the country. For instance, I think most of them are happening this Saturday. The one here in Atlanta is certainly happening this Saturday. And there's all sorts of chatter on the web. There's videos you can look at. There's blogs, news stories. And it's interesting to hear what you're saying, because this is the exact parallel that's being drawn is, look what it took for African American civil rights to really be realized. It was a 40-year journey. 40 plus, but if you just look at the 40 years since Martin Luther King and now we have our first African American president, sort of the parallel that's being drawn is we're about 40, next year, June of 2009 is the 40th anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion.
Yeah.
And have we stayed in the streets and been as vigilant as our African American brothers and sisters in the struggle for essentially racial equality and racial justice. And I think what's motivating people to take to the streets this week and this weekend is that maybe we haven't been. You know, I think people are a little stunned by what happened in California.
Hold on 1 second, Mike. I had a note coming from down in Phoenix that I'm going to ask him to email the note to you on lundon.calling@gmail.com so you can see his note too. Okay? So
wonderful, and I'll be checking for that as well.
Okay. By the way, what you're talking about, Lance, is what I said. The wheels of justice roll slowly, but surely.
The arc of history is long.
There is a price, yes.
That's right. And it's incremental. It's so dreadfully incremental.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I am not one who thinks that we should have been in the streets for 40 years. We were in the streets back in those early days. Now, there have been incidents that have happened that put us back onto the streets, that we have to be vigilant. So we go back onto the streets. Like now, there are these big rallies and such. We're back on the streets again.
That's right.
It's another step. As you say, it is incremental. But this time around...
Of course, this was a pretty big, expensive non-increment. I mean, when you think of the $45 million that got spent in California, it's been disappointing.
Well, yeah, but there again, I have to repeat, triumph and disaster, success and failure, they are imposters. Therefore, when we face something like a so-called failure or a disaster...
It's a setback.
It might be a setback, and yet it might be just the thing that makes us go on to the next step in greater pride.
That's exactly right. People have to get galvanized. This is, you know what this is, Ace? This is our Pearl Harbor.
And it could be, yes.
When you think about, I mean, galvanization is the word that my U.S. history teacher used when we discussed the Pearl Harbor invasion in freshman high school U.S. history. There was the supposition. It's so funny, the echoes of that echo from then to now. There was the supposition that Roosevelt actually might have known about the attack and let it happen to galvanize the American public, the public's support for entering World War II, because at that time we were essentially isolationist.
Well, at least at that time we weren't invading another country also unless they invaded us first. And that's what they did. And I can remember when it happened. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like today. I hear more straight people terribly upset about the Proposition 8 thing, which is in California.
Wonderful. They're our allies.
And in the other states where things were done, they are really upset. But the so-called adversary, the opponents, they are strong, and they have a united effort behind them that maybe we didn't have, and therefore we have to become smarter, we have to become stronger, all of these things. So it is, to me, not a setback. It is just another step that we have to keep on going. It's like in the old days, that I was just talking about in the bars, it was the straights then that took advantage of the early gay rights movement then. They owned so many of the initial bars and baths because they smelled the money.
That's
and
right.
They knew the police wouldn't bother them, at least not too much.
Right.
And it was scary in those days to go to a bath. The memories of having one's door kicked in and being told to line up without your towel. Well, the cops interviewed you, and I used interviewed. They told you to turn around and bend over and then laughed at your ass, humiliating you as best as they could, and big ha ha ha. Then they'd say, okay, put your towels back on. Ah, yes, those are incredible memories for most of us old-timers. But there were also more attorney costs going on back then. Well, they probably, I don't know if it's, attorney costs go on all the time. I sometimes wonder if a lot of the things that happen don't happen because the attorneys are pushing to get more money in. But the thought of holding hands or walking arm in arm with the lovers,
they're making plenty of money in other areas.
oh,
They shouldn't
yeah, yeah.
feel slighted.
The thought of holding hands or walking arm in arm with a lover if you were gay in public would attract catcalls from cars driving by, and I can have memories of being spat upon by passers-by. That's a vivid memory. Now,
okay,
I'm
but
sure.
fast forward to today. Have you heard about the basically racial slurs that have been leveled at African Americans just really in passing? I want to say there was a rally probably in California where, I think the idea to protest Prop 8 passing, to publicly protest it first came about. And I was just listening to the radio today to some people saying that there was a protest and an African American drove by in a vehicle and someone yelled at that person point blank the N-word.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear it. We all hear those things going on today. We are living in a very, very tumultuous time in history.
But isn't it interesting, based on what you just said, that we as a people who have been slurred in the same way, this is the preachy part of the show. We're preaching to our gay listeners about...
And the straight listeners.
Well, because here's the thing. Here's what's going on in the blog talk show sphere right now, because I've been listening to the talk shows today. There are people out there who wanted to see Prop 8 defeated, who are blaming its passage on African Americans and on this idea that there's this sort of racial ignorance, this, not coming to the party, not seeing, equal rights for LGBT people as being on the same level as the advancement of, what we in this country call, what we've always called civil rights, basically racial equality and justice.
Well, let me interrupt you.
That may be a red herring, I think.
Let me interrupt you here, Lance. This is a situation where, let's say that it's the gays that are blaming the blacks.
That's pretty much what's going on.
Yeah. Now,
and here's the crazy thing. Go ahead.
Many gays would think that the blacks who have gone through so much, the Orientals, the Latinos, etc., the minority groups have gone through so much of the same thing that we are going through, that one might say you'd think that they would have a bit of compassion or something for what we are going through at this time within the gay community. However, we are forgetting one thing. I lived in a pretty interesting community life many years ago when I was managing the great Mahalia Jackson, the world's greatest gospel singer, plus Sarah James and the James Sisters and Willa Dorsey and Sammy Davis was a friend of mine and such. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of times
is to show off, basically.
Yes, that's to show off.
You were one heck of hooked up dude back in the day.
You learn from things. And one thing I learned is that in the black church, it is probably no different than in the evangelical churches across the country today. And the black community is strongly an evangelical community. Now, why would they be against gay rights? That is the reason. They have their teaching, and as a result, they would vote against Prop 8, not because they're black and we're gay, but because of their religious convictions. And that, to me, says more than anything about what's going on.
I think there's an argument to be made for that. One of the things that I heard on the radio today was, everybody's Monday morning quarterbacking on the Prop 8 passage, and a couple of things are coming out. One is there's a lot of dissatisfaction with how the campaign did the TV spots, that they sort of de-gayed the whole campaign. But another one that I heard is, that the campaign may have underestimated that when you're in a fight like this that's, hopefully it'll be the last of these for quite some time, but when you're in a fight that's one of these values fights, one of these moral values, these fake issues that they throw on the ballot in a presidential election year, that campaigns can underestimate the power of the pulpit on the Sunday morning just prior to the election. And what
over the centuries of time, Lance, politics and the people have underestimated the power of the organized church.
Exactly.
And yet it was politics going along with organized religion that created it all.
Right. That's right.
It's
so
like
let me read you some statistics. This is really interesting. This is from an article on Huffington Post that talks about the vote breakdown. According to the exit polling, 49% of Asians voted for Prop 8. 53% of Latinos fell in line for it. White percent, slightly under 50% of them, a group representing 63% of California voters, voted yes on 8. Let's see, who else? Keep talking. I'm reading. I think here's what's got everybody up in arms. 30% of African American Californians voted against Proposition 8. 70% of African Americans apparently voted in favor of Prop 8. So here's what the article is pointing out. Okay, sure, 70% is sort of an outrageous number. But what they're saying is 49% of Asians also voted, 50% of Latinos, 50% of white folks. White folks represent 63% of California electorate. That's 60.
Went off.
It's not like the non-African American portions of the California electorate were with us and the African Americans just didn't get it. There was ignorance all the way around.
Well, it goes back to their belief system from the religion, organized religion. You cannot believe how powerful that is as a force. And to
back it up a little bit too, because I sure hate to do the they thing, them and they. I think that's dangerous, or it can be a red herring. But I think there's no denying that the church is a powerful institution in the African American community, and that we who are from other communities where the church is not as powerful, it can be dangerous to underestimate the power of that institution. I kind of reject, a monolithic viewing any segment of our population as monolithic. We're sitting here talking about how gay people are certainly not monolithic. So I'm kind of backing away a little bit from the they and the them aspect of discussing this, but I think I'm agreeing with you about the power of the church all the way around.
Well, and you can see why our forefathers wanted to separate the church from the state.
You're leading right into one of my other pet discussion points for tonight, which is, Ace, what do you think about the Mormon Church's involvement in Prop 8? You think their tax status should still be protected?
It all depends upon what they did legally and illegally.
They gave a mountain pile of money to the Yes on 8 campaign.
I think that somewhere in the legal system, if a pastor or a rabbi or a reverend does a certain type of thing in their church pulpits and such, they can have that taken away from them. But it is a legal matter for that to be accomplished. And I don't know what they did, because I got so sick and tired of watching all of the commercials and such from the ultra-left and the ultra-right, and Lord only knows from Mars, that I didn't watch anything. I'd made up my mind, with what I had studied. So I don't know what, I just know that the times are in a turmoil now, and we are going to work our way through this turmoil, but turmoil is good. It's like that bubble, toil and trouble. We pull the bubbles to the top, and we pop a few of them every now and then, and we make some progress. We make some progress. It's just right. Like how many gays do you know today who are being blackmailed? 40 years ago.
I wouldn't know them because they're probably closet cases.
Okay. Over 40 years ago, I was blackmailed. And blackmail was familiar to so many of us back then. We didn't want to lose our jobs, our families, our careers. We paid thousands of dollars back in the 50s, and that was a lot of money, and all because we couldn't change who we are. It right. Cost me $25,000 before I was able to figure a way out of it, Right. We also went through a period in our history of so-called gay rights movement when folks were telling us we could be changed through therapy. Well, we spent more dollars with psychiatrists, or as I like to call us, shrinks, only to learn that we couldn't change, and that whatever it is about this gay thing, it's innate. We have it or we don't have it. You either are or you aren't. So we've come a ways, but our community needs to know those roots, and the straight community needs to learn what those roots are also. Right. We need to remember them so we know where we've come from and better be able to create the future of where we are going as individuals and as a community.
And it ain't going to happen by clicking on a Facebook group.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention to any of our young listeners out there that don't be afraid to question old-timers who may still be alive in the gay community or the straight community. You can learn from us old geezers. We had to be brutally honest with ourselves as far as a gay person, and we had to be honest with ourselves, and we had to learn to be honest with society to bring us to the now where we are. We would be honest in answering questions to young people now about our then, because we know that you young people are our legacy to the world. So,
Amen.
If you're in your high school or university days today, don't be afraid to ask some old gay or lesbian that is still alive, what was it like back 40, 50 years ago? So you know what you went through. Just like if you are a black person, you need to go back and find out. 40.
Something tells me, though, that African Americans, that young African Americans, may actually be doing a better job of that than young.
I think they're smarter than the young gays. Yeah.
Well, but you have to consider where that comes from. In my family, I don't get to go home to a family full of gay people, and I don't have an old gay grandma who can go, well, back in my day. So we kind of have to seek out those elders, and so then you get into the issues of the age segregation in the gay community. And to our loyal listeners, I will just issue a disclaimer. I normally say LGBT or even queer, but since this is about Prop A, I think we're okay with just talking about gay folks here for a second.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's pretty
I
much
hate
where it's at for me. We're such a different kind of minority because
I hate all these politically correct crap. Yeah.
but it has its place. You know, you and I are we are such a good balancing act for a show because you're such a
Because you're so
rock-ribbed
young.
conservative and I'm such a flaming liberal.
And you're so young. Oh my God.
Oh, Ace, you make me feel so good. Well, let me share something else with you. Can you guess how much money the Mormon Church poured into just Proposition 8?
No, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that years ago when they did,
$22 million.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me because they got it. Now, I can tell you years ago when I was working on a thesis about the richest companies or organizations in the world, and this has been many, many years ago, it was, at that time, U.S. Steel. It was the Mormon Church because they had the sugar industry and the pineapple industry and the potato industry, etc.,
Oh
etc.
yeah,
And and it
there's a
was the
reason
Catholic.
Brigham Young has a campus in Hawaii.
It was the Catholic Church also, and I didn't believe much of that until it dawned on me when I was in Rosario, Mexico, and we went into this magnificent little town where it was filled with squalid huts, literally, and in the very center of Rosario was this gigantic cathedral. And we walked inside to look, and it was gold plated. You know,
Whoa.
more gold than I'd ever seen in my whole life. So, yes, I can imagine what these organizations, religious
Now,
or not,
Ace, all that
can
gold
spend.
is there to glorify God.
I know, and I am sure he is thrilled with it. Yes.
Or she.
Yes, exactly. Now
Although
I got
I thought diamonds were a girl's best friend personally.
to.
How about more diamonds in the churches?
Well, we
Let
have
me
to
share
pray.
something else with you. I don't know if this is on your radar, Ace, but I'm sort of intimately connected with it through a friend.
All right.
Do you know about the gay sex sting that happened in the mountains of East Tennessee within about the last year?
A gay sex thing?
Gay sexting. Let me read
Oh,
this to you. This is from Pam's House Blend, and this will take you right back to the 50s. A recent police public sex sting in Johnson City, Tennessee, netted 40 men, all of whom had their photos released to the public, something not the norm for the local police department in other similar situations. The reason these men were hung out to dry is because they were engaging in same-sex, albeit illegal, activity. Pam's disclaimer is, by the way, I've been to Johnson City, and let's just say it's not exactly a welcoming place to be queer or a person of color. It's not
church
far
on
from the
every
West.
corner. Church on every corner, probably.
Oh, sure. Well, and it's different in the mountains. She continues, it's not far from the western North Carolina border, but it's worlds away from anywhere I've called home. Here's the view of the sting from the Johnson City Press, the local paper. And just to give you some background, this basically happened in a cave, and this is what the article will reveal to us. The undercover investigation, conducted primarily in Winged Deer and Buffalo Mountain parks, is just the begin. This is from the local paper. Is just the beginning for authorities, who say homosexual activities there have become a quote serious problem. Here's a direct quote. Part of this took place off the paved trails. There's a thing out there at Winged Deer Park they've evidently termed the man cave. It's a good way off the paved trail. It's underbrush that's grown up and resembles a cave. According to investigators, men that frequent the quote man cave at all times of day, or men frequent the man cave at all times of day, specifically to take part in sexual activities with other men. Again, this is in the local paper. During their investigation, undercover officers would often strike up a conversation with a man who was approaching the trail leading to the man cave. The conversation quickly would turn sexual. Gee, kind of like, hey, would you like to buy some acid? And many times would lead to proposals for sex. At least two of the men held positions of trust within a community. One of them, of Johnson City, reportedly works as a teacher within the Johnson City school system, while police said that another, about 55 years old, is a pastor at a local church. And just a sidebar to all this, I don't see it yet here in the blog, but a friend of mine who's been working on this issue for one of our national organizations said that one of the men committed suicide. And
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, and what she told me about this is that the men's pictures were actually printed in the paper. Now, I may be remembering this wrong, but the point is, it basically was handled in a way that is the equivalent of, and this has all happened within the last year, but it could be the 50s all over again.
It sure could. It sounds like it.
Well, and these men, you can't tell me that in Johnson City, Tennessee, these men who are arrested are the only people that were arrested during this period for public sexual activity. You can't tell me that if the local police were hanging out down at whatever the local Lover's Lane is and found a young heterosexual couple, maybe a little bit beyond the necking stage, shall we say, windows steamed, that these two people would have their photos printed in the paper or even their names printed in the paper.
Well, it does sound, and it reminds me of 40, 50 years ago when most gays at that time were in their closets. And as a result of any time you run into this in history, when you closet someone, then you have the situation where if you're in a closet, then you have to hide. And if you have to hide your life, then you go to places like parks and caves and things like that. Or you go to private homes and such. And so that's part of what you're talking about, only the fact that it's actually happening now today, this is absolutely beyond comprehension almost, because this is 2008. Lance, what are you doing? Breathing hard into the microphone?
I'm trying to turn you on.
That's what I thought. I just heard the breathing.
Is it working?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. That brings me to this. Are we ever, as a gay community, going to be without enemies? No. Not as long as there are organized religions. As long as there are bigots who have been taught to hate, and hate is taught. As long as there are uneducated, ignorant people who have failed to explore their own roots, we are going to have enemies. And when we know our roots and the price paid for those roots, we can walk today in pride of being who we are in reality. And hopefully, the time for flaunting ourselves publicly for the sake of shock therapy is a thing of the past. I don't think that we need to have the tits and ass anymore. People know about gay and such, and we don't have to shock them. And hopefully, because we have learned what it is like to be hated and despised, we, above all people on the planet, will also have learned what love is really all about. So the gay community should be a leader in teaching love. Now, life is not about risk. If life is not about risk, it is absolutely about nothing. Only in taking risk does one exercise the area of choice, where growth of the individual may occur. Now, the young people that are parading today in these protests, both gays and straights, they are taking a risk. That's good. It is a choice that they are taking. And as a result, there will be growth individually and societally that will occur, but it's not going to happen overnight. And whatever you do, Lance, you or any of the listeners out there, never be afraid to be called a futurist, because futurists are people who see a motion picture into life. Most folks, unfortunately, only see a stationary snapshot of life. So be a futurist and see the motion picture into life as it goes into the future. Those of us who were pioneers many years ago could see today even though it surprises us that it came this quickly. We could see that the things that we were doing back then as pioneers for human rights, for gay rights, we saw that there had to be the progress that was going to take place, and pretty soon things would change, etc. And sure, it's taken 4 decades, but here we are today, and we've come a hell of a long way, baby.
You know, Ace, that is a perfect lead-in to something I think be a regular feature of the second half of our podcast, and that is the weekly poetry read. Now, here's one that I've selected that I've read you before, but I think we did it offline. I think we did it before we started broadcasting, and it seems appropriate for this moment in time, given what's going on in America and in the world, and it tags on so nicely to what you've just said. It's by one of my favorites, who I imagine is quickly becoming one of your favorites. Her name is Mary Oliver, and our loyal listener from Reno, Nevada, Frank, cited her as well. I think what we probably did last week was we mentioned her and our mutual admiration for her, but we didn't read from her. And
no,
said,
and I want to hear her read her own poems. That's why we want to get her as a guest one of these days, when all of our little problems are taken care of, and won't be going through.
Duly noted. And in the meantime, just imagine that I'm Mary Oliver, and I'd like to read you a poem called "The Summer Day."
Okay.
Who made the world? Who made the swan and the blackbird? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else is it should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Yeah. Well, we're going to do something now that I turned you on to my website that is up. This is the week of Veterans Day that we just celebrated.
Oh, the Vietnam Gene Lundon show.
And freedom isn't free, believe me. Believe me, it isn't. That website, let me give you the address for it on the internet. It's www.vietnamgenelondonshow.com. Now I'm going to have to be closing the site out because I really can't afford to keep it up anymore. But if you get a chance, look into it. And it is my way of saying thank you to the men and women that fought during the Vietnam years. It is a great site, actually, even if I did do it. They asked me during those years, are you supporting the war? What idiot supports war? No, I wasn't supporting a war. Then the ultra-right would say, yeah, but you're not putting God into the shows. Well, I wasn't wearing a clerical collar. We were entertaining the men because they needed a chance to laugh and forget the horrible crap that was going on in their life with regard to that awful war. And we entertained for 7 years and 3 months and entertained over 750,000 men going to and coming home from Vietnam. I had high hopes that these men, now around 60 years of age, would get a chance to look at the Vietnam Gene Lundon Show website because there are pictures in there where they might see themselves when they were 19, 20 years old. Well, the website has been accepted into the South Dakota State Historical Military Archives and the National Archives. So I guess what I've done so far on it has been what it was supposed to have been done, and that's why I will be putting it down pretty soon. Also, I've heard from a lot of people that it is what do you call a wonderful place to go to see old stars that never before pictures, published of so many of the great old stars who participated in those shows. I think you even mentioned something about that, Lance.
Oh, yes. We were talking. Did we talk about this on the show last week, or did we talk about it in one of our
we talked about it in person, yeah.
Side conversations? We were talking about, there's this really lovely photo of you. It's the first link when you click through. Well, here, okay, first of all, let's just take it from the top. When you first load up the site, there's this really, really cool photo of all these servicemen crowding around this really, really gorgeous woman. Who's that gorgeous woman, Ace?
That's my ex-wife, or wife then, Jean.
Jean Lundon. And then you click on the photo, and in the left-hand navigation of the page that you get to, you know what? You don't even have to click on that. When you first click on the photo, the next page that loads has a photo of Jean with a man named Johnny Grant, and on his left,
Johnny Grant
is,
was... Johnny Grant just passed away. He was the honorary mayor of Hollywood for maybe 40 years or more. What a wonderful man.
Gay or straight?
Straight man.
Oh, okay. Bless his heart. That's awesome.
Yes.
And then, so to his left, our right, in that same photo, is a woman whose name I didn't even have to see twice to know exactly who she was. Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yes.
I'm sure it is a marker for me having been gay from a very young age, that even at probably the impressionable age of, 7 or 8, watching, what was it, The Munsters? That was the show.
Yeah, The Munsters.
I was immediately attracted to this woman. There was just something about her. And by attracted, I mean in the gay way, like, wow, she's fabulous.
Yeah. Okay.
And then here I am on your website, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Little did I know she had this whole life before the Munsters, where she wasn't just this sort of glamorous older woman in this campy show, but in her younger years was really quite the looker, and never really lost those looks. Those looks really kind of followed her at every stage in her life.
Yep. And there's so many great photos in that website. So I would urge you all to check into www.vietnamjeanlondonshow.com and check it out before it goes off the web, because it's getting close to that now. And maybe, I tell you, if you're young out there and you got a grandfather or a father or an uncle who was in the Vietnam War, tell him about the website. And maybe he was in Vietnam and shipped out from Camp Pendleton, and maybe he's in one of the photos. I think it'd be just hot as hell.
Are you baiting me to bring up my father?
No, but I know you have. I know you had a father.
I think we talked about this offline as well, for the benefit of our listeners. Ace and I have essentially done a little bit of math and put it together that it is very likely that during one of the shows during the 10-year reign of the Jean London show, they must have performed for my father, who was stationed as a Marine, I'm pretty sure, at Camp Pendleton, and this would have been in the late 60s. I was born in 1970, and he did a tour of duty in Vietnam, and before that tour of duty, I remember, and there's a red book at my grandmother's house in New Hampshire that would tell me it's kind of like the Marine boot camp version of a yearbook. Essentially, it's a photo book that depicts sort of his graduating class, and I remember it's set in the late 60s. He was at a camp in California in the late 60s before he shipped off to Vietnam. And Ace, you sort of confirmed for me, I think, that It must have been Camp Pendleton because it kind of had the reputation. Well, go ahead.
Our shows were monthly, and they were 2 and 3 hour long shows, and the largest audience we ever had was around 80,000, according to what the Colonel said. So those were some phenomenal times.
Totally different times.
Yep.
So, Ace, are you a big TV watcher?
Not that much. I have my favorite shows and things. I like 24 when it comes back on now.
Do you have cable? Do you watch the cable shows?
I have cable, yeah. I watch the BBC. Mm-hmm.
Oh, God bless the BBC. Well, so you must have a fancy digital package. You're ahead of me. Do you do you have AMC, American Movie Classics?
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I have it.
Oh, Ace, have you ever watched an episode of Mad Men?
No. I've heard about it.
I can't imagine that you wouldn't like it.
My problem is time to sit down and actually watch a show. My crazy mind goes too crazy. Yeah, if I think I'm wasting time watching a show.
That's why God gave us pot. Am I wrong?
Speaking of that, I gotta tell you this. Did you hear about that young teenager who asked his granny, "Have you seen my pills, Granny? They were labeled LSD."
God.
Granny replies, "Fuck the pills. Have you seen the dragons in the kitchen?"
That's perfect.
Oh, God. I love it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, those were those years. The Vietnam years were filled with drugs, believe me.
Well, unfortunately now, I guess if you tuned into AMC now, you'd probably be able to watch. But Mad Men is probably in reruns at this point, or whatever the cable version of reruns is. They've just gone through 2 seasons. They just ended season 2, and I have to confess, I've basically stopped watching television the way I used to do. But that show I've hung on to. And even having said that, I'm still about 4 episodes behind, so I haven't seen the last 4 episodes of this season that just concluded. But that show got its hooks in me, and one of the things that I'm eagerly anticipating, and I have no doubt they'll renew it, it won all sorts of awards, is, first of all, since you've basically never watched it, there are no openly gay characters on the show. The show is set in season 1 is about 1960, season 2 is about 1962. It's an ad agency in New York. There are no openly gay characters, but there's a closeted gay character, and it's really interesting to watch what they do with this guy. Well, the guy that is the actor that portrays him was interviewed on one of the radio shows I listen to pretty regularly, and he was talking about really where this show is kind of slated to go and what we're in store for. And why he, of course, hopes beyond a paycheck in his career that it keeps getting renewed. And basically the plan is for this show to depict the difference between sort of the early 60s and the late 60s. Because, of course, as you and I know, what people tend to refer to as the 60s, collectively, the things they're sort of alluding to really kind of kicked in the late 60s. The seeds of it all were there in the early 60s, but it was really the difference between the early 60s and the late 60s is the early 60s is the I Want to Hold Your Hand Beatles, and then the late 60s is the I Am the Walrus, Sgt. Pepper, Lonely Hearts Club Band Beatles. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in that very, very long decade. And so what's really great about this show, and you can see it happening, is when they started it in season 1 in 1960, not knowing what year exactly they were talking about, I assumed it was set in the 50s. And for me, that alone was instructive. That, it's like anything. If you look at photos of what people were wearing in the early 80s, to us now, it looks like pretty much the 70s. In other words, there aren't these clean breaks between decades. There's all this overlap. And so what the show is going to apparently depict for us is how that sort of 50s culture and 50s ethos and those 50s values segued into what we popularly think of as the 60s, which is really the late 60s.
The hippie era. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, you can totally see how this is such a great setup because, you're talking an ad agency in New York. Now, New York had a lot of hipness going on. There were the people in the lower end of Manhattan, the beatniks. I mean, there was all this hip culture going on. But up in Midtown, these guys were still living firmly in what, to me, looks like the 50s.
Yeah.
Very much the patriarchal culture, very much caught up in the corporate culture. Very, very sexist. Lots of boozing and some borderline and just outright alcoholism, on the job. And it'll be, I'm just very interested to see how they transition these folks into what I always thought of as the 60s, which is basically, you can see what's coming. It's going to happen all around them. I mean, the United Nations, in Midtown Manhattan, if you're an advertiser, the United Nations is probably 3 or 4 blocks east of wherever it is that you're working. So if there were protests that were happening at the time, it'd be one thing to ignore them if they were happening in Lower Manhattan. But if there are protests happening at the United Nations or Grand Central Station or Fifth Avenue or Bryant Park, that's going to be right outside their doorstep for these ad executives. These very
I can guarantee you, if you look into the Vietnam Gene London Show website, you're going to see the costumes. Believe me, of the late '60s and early '70s in there, and oh yes, there were some doozies that we had back then. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, let's talk about something Ace is wearing in one of these photos. Okay, here's a photo. This is the second link on the left-hand nav. This is the one called How the Shows Began. And if you scroll about 2 or 3, web window-sized pages down, here's Ace with Colonel John E. Gorman. And yes. Ace, I gotta say, what you're wearing, I find interesting given that you were performing for soldiers, because to me this looks like I would have clocked you as a pot smoker. You know what else? I would have clocked you as a big homo too. I'm just saying.
Those were the costumes we had back then. Basically, what is this
you're wearing? It looks like this sort of mock turtleneck, but with short sleeves. It's kind of white, and there are these things around your neck. Are those love beads?
Yeah, those were the days when the love beads were popular and things like that.
And so you got on stage and performed for all these soldiers in love beads.
Yeah. I mean, we were there to entertain. These men this is where they came from. They knew all of this. We weren't going to dress. We weren't going to dress differently.
They were all pot smokers.
I'm sure that they ran into it before they got in the service,
I ran into them.
Talking about that site and talking about the fact that freedom isn't free. And
I'm not finished with your outfit, because those are some really...
You roast me in the outfit. You haven't seen some of the other outfits yet.
We haven't even talked about those tight pants.
Everybody wore tight pants back then. Everybody did it. At least we're not wearing those gay trousers where you can see the crack of the ass nowadays.
Ace, I'm willing to bet that in what you were wearing in this picture, if Colonel Gorman had dropped a quarter and you bent over to pick it up, those pants wouldn't have left a lot to his poor imagination. I'm just saying.
Well, you can look at the costumes on entertainers, and you're going to see tight pants. There's no doubt about it. During those years, we breathed carefully.
Oh my goodness!
And
That's bad when you have to breathe carefully because of pants. I can
your,
understand it because
your
of something
goodness had
that.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, my goodness doesn't have anything to do with a lot. All right, I want to go back to one more thing, and that is the very first page we were on, the one it's the top link in the left nav. Yes, it's titled "Yes, It Takes a Village." There's a fabulous photo of the Gene London show. There's basically, it looks like a panel of guests. You're standing up in a really, I have to say, Ace, this suit that you're wearing, if you still have it, I think you should ship it to me immediately. Um, it's really true. Everything comes back. This
Yeah,
suit is the look now. Um, it looks like it's a 3 or 4 button suit. The
yeah.
lapels come up very, very close to the tie. The tie is arched out like you probably have a tie bar, a tie pin under it. To my eye today, it looks very European. It's got the side vents. Um, wow! But that's
That
not
was
even the point. The point of this whole story. The thing
that
I
was an
wanted to get to,
expensive suit back then.
it looks very expensive, and those shoes look pretty fabulous too.
Yeah, they
Um,
were. They
but
were.
let's go back to the women because this is a gay show and it's all about the women. Um, so here you are emceeing this. It says Hollywood panel, and I don't recognize any of the other names on the panel besides Yvonne DiCarlo. But the woman to her right, who's that?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't have the site up. I'm not multi-talented like you, so I can look at two things at one time here.
I'll tell you exactly who it is. It's Barbara Hale.
Oh, Barbara. Yeah, I talked to her a while back. She's doing okay. God, I think she's about 90 now, and she's still alive and kicking, and just a terrific woman, man.
Now for
Terrific.
the benefit of our generationally challenged listeners,
For
who's
for
Barbara?
those for the young ones who may not know who Barbara Hale is, if you see any of the old Perry Mason shows, Barbara Hale was Della Street on the Perry Mason show for years and years and years.
And she has some rather famous offspring as well.
Yes, her son Billy. He goes by William Cat now. He was in my one of my favorite movies, Carrie, which I loved. But yeah, Billy has been working on movies over the years, and he also, matter of fact, he might be listening tonight to the show
Oh, that would
because
be awesome.
he contacted me and said he is registered to do so.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's wonderful. Well, and I can only imagine that as we become more technologically advanced and have the capability to have guests, that we'll have Barbara and or Billy on this show at some point. Ace, did I lose you? Or are you lighting up?
No, I'm still here. I
I
sometimes
was I was
wonder.
just flattering our celebrity listeners.
Oh, listen, we had over 300 entertainers over that 7 year period, and we entertained over 750,000 men. So it was a terrific
And after
show.
that, you'd actually get on stage.
After that, what?
That was a cheap shot. I had to take. You just left it wide open. I had to go there. 70.
Uh,
That's how you stayed so thin.
750,000, not 70.
Oh, unbelievable! Seven. How many battalions is that?
I don't know. I don't know. But Colonel McCain said that one of the shows we had, I was backstage, because I would, that's where I spent a good portion of my time. And I happened to look out and I thought, my God, I've never seen this many of an audience. And they were on top of the Quonset huts, on top of vehicles and everything. And
It's like what you said.
Colonel McCain says they had estimated there were about 80,000 there that show.
Would this be Colonel John McCain?
No, that was Colonel
Was it?
John Gorman.
He was in the
That was
Navy.
Colonel John Gorman. Colonel Jinx McCain He just recently passed away too. I keep in touch with his daughter, one of his daughters and such. So uh, she's so thrilled with the website because it does honor her father and all of the work that he did. He was a great man, boy. He was always good for any of our female entertainers that came on the show because he always says, "I've never met an ugly woman in my life." And so no matter who our entertainers were, even if they were ugly, he didn't think so. And so they loved him.
I love it. Brings me back to one of my favorite Will Rogers quotes. I never met a man I didn't like.
Yeah, yeah. It's too bad we all can't be that way, that we should learn to love everybody. I know some bitches and bastards over life, but I actually love them. They just are what they are, and I don't know why they want to still be that way, but they're part of my love life, you could say.
Well, and as we say here in the South, bless their hearts.
Yes, bless their hearts is right.
There is more than one photo of you in this love beatnik tight pant hippie outfit.
Well, they're probably
With Colonel Gorman again.
there are some pretty wild ones in there. I know that because like I said, now you I call these costumes. What I'm wearing right now is a costume. Of course, it's a T-shirt. It's from my university, and jeans, Levi's. That's a costume. Everything we wear really is a costume. And so I don't look at show business people as being out of costume or in costume because we're always in costume no matter what we're wearing.
Well,
And,
probably because you're always on stage.
well, we are because
Performance.
that takes me to another point of philosophy. And the writer of the Shakespearean works put it quite succinctly, all the world is a stage and we merely actors thereupon. So therefore, yes, we are on a stage and we are in costume and it's called Earth.
Amen to that. I'm sitting here looking at these photos of Jean, and I just have one question. What was it like being married to a woman who so clearly understood that she was gorgeous?
No, she never thought she was.
You know what? I knew you'd say that because the really, really beautiful people never understand how beautiful they are.
Yeah,
But in every picture, she's vamping for the camera. It's like, how can you pose like that over and over again and then still doubt that you're gorgeous?
When she was involved in the top 10 natural beauties in Hollywood, she says, "Oh, isn't that silly?" I said, "No, honey," I says, you've got a natural beauty." And she says, "Oh, well, I'm glad you think so."
Yeah, well, it helps. You were her husband. I'm looking at your star page. Oh, there's Jinx McCain with the inimitable Edie Williams. Oh, boy, she was curvy.
Who is that?
Edie Williams. She was
Edie Williams. She was one of the B-movie stars back then, yes.
Uh-huh.
And matter of fact, she's still alive, and I read something about her the other day, too.
What has she been up to all these years?
I don't know. I just had a note from someone that said they can't find the website. Interesting.
So they're listening to us, but they can't find. Oh, they're emailing you because they're trying to listen in.
And then I got it. Oh, I got it. So she just found it. They're emailing me on my personal email.
Yeah. Well, this might be a good excuse / opportunity to remind people that while we don't have the technology for this to be a call-in show, we do have the technology for this to be an email-in show.
Yes, actually, we might have the technology for it to be a call-in show. It's that we don't have the money to get the phone system.
Oh, shoot. True. So another shameless plug for sponsorship support.
Well, I'm hoping that we get some sponsors because the show's not going to continue very long if we don't.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. He's just
A
pretty
shameless
much
plug.
called. That's even more than shameless plug. That's do or
Yeah.
die. That's do or die. It is what it is. Well, anyway, we should probably give out that email address again. It is
Oh,
london.calling@gmail.com. And London is spelled with a U on the first vowel, so it's LUNDON.calling@gmail.com.
yes, yes.
And we welcome all questions, comments, criticisms, and complaints.
That's for sure.
And they need to even be about what we're talking about at the time. We're pretty
No,
freely.
they could be about anything. They could email in and say, "Isn't Lance good looking?" And then I'll have to email them back and tell them the
Say,
truth.
honey, everybody's got one good picture, and that happens to be his. And he's just working it for all it's worth.
I've seen other pictures of you.
Stalker. Tell me about Sarah James and her fabulous hair.
Oh, Sarah was wonderful. She was one of my clients as well when I was in personal management. This woman would walk on stage. She called herself 300 pounds of joy. And she'd walk on stage in that silver shimmy dress or something, and she'd open up her show part. She'd say, "Mercy, mercy," and she would she would go from mercy into some of the greatest black gospel singing that you've ever heard. Oh my gosh, she'd have the men standing, clapping, jumping, laughing. Oh, it was wonderful. She was wonderful.
That is awesome. Now, in this photo on your website, this is on the page that talks about backstage. And so here's a photo of her sitting in a chair with a case in her lap that looks about the size of a beauty case. Is that what it was?
Yeah. This is when she passed out after one of her shows, one of her acts. She gave her all to those men in those shows, I tell you. And by the time
Oh, so
she'd
you
finished,
weren't the only one.
yeah, I was. No, by the time she'd finished, she'd literally pass out many times. We'd have to,
Wow.
yeah. But
That's intense.
that was her. And I tell you, those performers,
That was
none of
back
us got.
that was back before we had the really good drugs. That's the problem.
Yeah, none of us were getting paid. We were doing it because we believed that our men needed to have some entertainment, and so when our entertainers were doing their thing, they were really giving their all. I tell you, yeah, pretty
So
phenomenal.
the whole time that you and Gene did this, you didn't get paid?
No, Gene and I pretty much financed any of the stuff that needed to be financed, so it
Wow.
came out of our own pockets.
So how'd you make ends meet back then?
Oh, who knows? You tried. Jean was an actress. She'd get work. I was in personal management. I took my
I've
10%.
got it. I've got it. So this
Yeah,
basically performing for the troops is basically it's a celebrity version of work volunteering in the community.
yeah, yeah. Basically,
You've got your day job. You're doing your thing,
yeah.
which is kind of how it is now. Al Franken, for instance, talks about how he's apparently right now. I think he's the one that says he logs more hours performing for the troops than any other performer right now. I may
Well,
have that completely wrong,
I don't know that that's a fact, but it's possible.
but give me a second and I'll look it up.
I do know that during those years, Mr. Hope was doing his yearly thing, and
Oh yeah,
then
nobody's got him.
Johnny Grant. Man, he was going continually, even up until the time that he died just a year or so ago. He just got back from Afghanistan with the troop. He continually, he was just wonderful. And Martha Ray, Martha and Johnny outdid Mr. Hope tremendously, compared to what he was doing. But Mr. Hope was the one that got the big
Oh yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
media coverage.
Right. Right. Now was Martha Ray? What is she the one that used to do the chewing gum or the mouthwash commercials? And she go, "This is Martha Ray, the fresh mouth."
Yeah, you should go with her
Exactly.
mouth. She had a
What?
huge
What?
mouth.
Oh, is that where that comes from? She was just
Yeah,
known as
she
the.
had a huge mouth, uh, and she used it. We understand. Well, that was what people said. I
Meanwhile,
know.
Ace is personally entertaining 750,000 men.
Move over, Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, gosh. Where is she now? What is she up to?
Who knows?
Talk about bless her heart.
Yes.
Did you and I ever talk about shortly after all this,
I,
shortly after all this stuff, sort of
I gotta interrupt you, Lance.
yes, sir.
Someone emailed me on the personal and says I've tried Windows Media Player and iTunes and hear no sound at all. So maybe our
Have
our
to have our tech support team get
tech,
back to them.
yeah, our tech man take care of that,
Our IT staff.
or give me some information that I can feed out. Well, I can't feed it out to her if she can't hear it. So, what am I saying? What am I saying? I don't know.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, if you're having trouble tuning
And you
in,
can't hear the show, suck a lemon. Okay. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's what
we
the
just
site
got a
says.
we just got a note from our producer saying to go to the website and email the webmaster.
It says that on the site actually, but I have a lot of friends who really don't know how to read. They think they tell me they do, but I'm really not sure of it.
Well, as long as they email the webmaster, we'll get them taken care of.
It'll be taken care of.
So now, here's the
Someone,
thing.
someone, someone told me the other day, don't get so upset, Ace, because these things take time to get everything worked out, and I know they do. It's just that I'm such an impatient old cuss. I figure I'm in my 70s. My God, things got to work a little fast, because I could drop dead or something. So that's why I'm a little pushy.
Ace, we
But
will have none of that talk on this show.
of course, I'm pushy naturally anyway, so that just adds to it. Fortunately, he understands me.
You're pushy, but in an endearing way.
Okay, okay.
You are. You are. I wouldn't still be here if that weren't the case.
You know, I I'm like one of those old Italian Jewish mamas. I am I cannot help but worry about things. I just do. It's just a part of me. And if I don't hear from, like if I didn't hear from you, uh, you better believe I'm going to be on the horn trying to reach you.
You
Mrs.
worry.
Rich, Mrs. Richard Dreyfuss, the first Mrs. Richard Dreyfuss is an old friend of mine, and she says, Ace, she says, I know that I'm going to get a call from you if I don't call you because you're going to be wondering what in the world is going on with me if I don't call you. And it's true. I can't help myself.
By the way, did you just say Italian Jewish mama? How many of those are there?
A lot of them. I Everyone I've ever met. Everyone I've ever met.
Was Italian and
Have
Jewish?
a little more pasta. You look skinny. Gee, so just
Here,
just
have some
worry.
lasagna. Did I tell you about my son, the doctor and the lawyer?
I just worry, worry, worry. I can't help
Ace, what are they putting in the water in Arizona? That's all I have
it. I don't know, but you don't want to put it on your hair, whatever it is.
to. Well, hopefully the city of Las Vegas is doing something with their sewage besides dumping it into your drinking water.
Maybe that's
I'm,
what's
I'm just
turning my
saying.
hair white. Turning my hair white.
Well, here we are. We are about 11 minutes away from the close of our show. Is there anything in particular we want to leave our listeners with tonight? There's a lot going on in the world.
Oh yeah, you can't get through a show without a fart joke. Did you hear about the elderly couple attending mass? About halfway through, the wife leans over and says to her husband, "Honey, I just let a silent fart. What do you think I should do?" He says, "Put a new battery in your hearing aid, honey."
And that's Londonese for take to the streets this Saturday, march in your local city against the passage of Prop 8 and for the, we hope, repeal of it. Right, Ace?
Well, yes. But, we're going to be talking on the next show, should he ever get all of this fixed for us, and we can actually get people emailing in. You folks out there listening, don't you know how to type or something, So, or maybe spell, or forget the spelling.
I'm telling you, they're too busy checking out where they're supposed to be marching this Saturday. They're planning, man.
Yeah. But we're going to be talking.
Weekend is upon us.
We're going to be talking about this marriage thing probably on the next show.
There's no doubt. You know that they've had in New York tonight. They had a big protest out in front of one of the Mormon temples in Manhattan. And then earlier this week, I don't remember if it was today, but where this all got started was that somebody had the idea of protesting at a Mormon temple in Los Angeles. Now, this is not me saying protest your local Mormon temple. My personal jury's out on all that. I'm a little skeeved out by them spending $22 million on a civil rights ballot initiative. But the impetus is there. People are taking to the streets. And when I first heard it, I thought, oh, well, is this really what we want? Do we want the movable middle out there to perceive that we're going to get bitchy and march in the streets just because we didn't get what we wanted? But you know what? Now my answer is, yeah, pretty much damn straight, so to speak. It's what's always worked in the past. We've tried all the nice things, and we don't spend enough time in the streets. One of my pet soliloquies is Facebook is not activism. And we're in a generation now where there's too much of that. There's too much, I clicked on the group or I joined the fan page for marriage equality now. And you know what? It's not cutting the mustard. We need engagement. We need a national conversation. I don't know, Ace, you tell me what you think, but I think go ahead.
I think we need this little 8 to 10% of the population that is gay to get out of your frickin' closets and be real and talk with your non-gay or your heterosexual friends and relatives and neighbors.
Amen.
And let them realize that, hey, he may be a queer, but he's actually a human being. And
because it really is our most powerful tool. Being out is our most powerful tool.
Yeah. This is what we should be doing. Sure, we can march in the streets and things like that, and that has its place. But we need.
But you're right. Come out wherever you are.
Mm-hmm. We need to talk.
Would this be an appropriate time to do a shameless plug for a website on that subject?
Okay, give it to me.
Oh, no, I was just talking about the website, Ace. You're going to have to handle that other thing.
So was I, but your mind's in the gutter. Okay.
It's where I was born. I'm just going back home. The website is theclosetlight.com. Very, very simple.
Yeah, because that's what we will be talking about next show.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very appropriate. You know what else is really appropriate about that is it's always appropriate to talk about being out in family settings just prior to the holidays, and especially just prior to the National American Dinner holiday, and that's Thanksgiving. As we all know, if you're in the closet, that table can be crushing and suffocating. If you're out, it can be just as frustrating. But there's nothing quite like being declared, as the Italians say. The Italians don't say in or out of the closet, they say, "Are you declared?" I just love it. It sounds so Southern. Like, I do declare I am gay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like
Well,
that.
I tell you one thing.
Do you
After
have
living
anything to declare at the border? Yes, I'm gay.
after living in a gay closet for over half of my life and coming out, there is a freedom to being real and who you are that is just the most incredible thing that anyone can imagine. And this goes for straights or gays. If you are in any closet, get your damn self out of those closets and be real. Uh,
Closets are for shoes.
yeah, smelly shoes. Yes.
Well, if you're a lesbian, yeah, old nasty Birkenstock, sure.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
I can handle it.
You're gonna get
All
it.
I have to say is bring it. But you know what, Ace? That's pretty potent advice coming from you, because here's to my eyes, and especially given what we've been talking about tonight, you're someone who has spent a great deal of his life in the public eye, on stage, performing, really, really putting yourself out there. And what I hear you saying is, even having done all of those things, you were never truly, fully yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think of how that must sound for the average person who might be listening to our show, or the more introverted person.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter where you are in your life, or how in there or out there you are in any other area. Coming out of the closet is powerful for anybody. I think it's a powerful message coming from you.
Well, as we think about next week, did you hear about the two brooms that were hanging in the closet? And after a while, they got to know each other so well they decided to get married. One broom, of course, was called the bride broom, and the other was called the groom broom. Now, the bride broom looked very beautiful in her white dress, and the groom broom was handsome and suave in his tuxedo, and the wedding was lovely. After the wedding, at the wedding dinner, the bridegroom leaned over and said to the groom broom, "I think I'm going to have a little whisk broom." "Impossible," said the groom broom. Are you ready? Are you ready for this now? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready to lay it on me.
He says, "We haven't even swept together."
Oh God! Oh
Hell,
God!
for goodness
Ace, I don't
sakes.
think I'm going to recover from that one.
You can laugh or groan. Sounds to it sounds to me like she's been sweeping around.
Oh God! You have to stop.
So we're going to talk about the closets of life and people sweeping around. Oh
Well,
dear.
Ace, we have made it in our own elegant/inelegant way through an hour and 57 minutes of scintillating content. Whatever shall we use the final 3 minutes of our show for?
Well, we can tell them that there is hope. And
That you'll never tell another pun again?
no. There is hope that next show, we're actually going to go through the show and we're both going to be on together. And then we'll have figured out whatever problem it is that we've been having.
Honey, I
And
think the problem was on your end, so be careful where you point that finger.
hey, I I could hear.
Mike and I were fine. We just kind of had our own little show while you were off in Podland.
And remember, everybody, don't be afraid to be a futurist. You know, futurists are people who see a motion picture of life. You've got to see the motion picture of your life and of your society in which you live. Most folks, unfortunately, only see just little stationary snapshots of what it is at the now. You've got to be able to see the motion picture. That is an absolute if you want your life to count. So,
I
as
like
we're
that.
getting close, I think the clock is going to strike pretty soon. So I got to say this, folks, I don't care if you lick windows. Now, there are those that do. I don't care if you lick windows. I don't care if you have to take a special bus. You know, there are those people too. Or occasionally pee on yourself. You just hang in there because you are friggin' special. And it is now time for us to say goodbye.
Good night,
God
everyone.
bless. I'll see you next week, and so will Lance. Bye-bye.